Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty go-out. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Chevron 1 encoded. Chevron 2 encoded. Chevron 3 encoded. Chevron 4 encoded. Oh no, this is gonna happen. Chevron 5 encoded. Chevron 6 encoded. Chevron 7 what? We have a stable wormhole.
Welcome back, everyone.
Woo! Welcome back.
It's been a minute.
That's a hot minute. Hot minute.
So, the strike is over, which means we can officially talk about that wormhole show again, aka Stargate.
I was about to say, can we say it?
If it's in it now.
Can we please say it?
We're so used to be like that wormhole.
That wormhole show.
That round thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So we're actually talking. So I remember this so clearly because the episode we're doing tonight, we watched back in July. It was July. And we hopped on
about 16th. Yeah.
Yeah. We hopped on about to do it. And then we were like, wait a minute, with the strike, because Rebecca works in film, like we need to be careful because we don't want to jeopardize anything for Rebecca. So watched the episode, took all the notes, did my cryptic image out of context images too.
So good.
So I have not read these notes since I wrote them however many months ago. So it's kind of going to be like a fun, like, what did I write?
Wonderful.
Oh my God. Wait, we should reintroduce ourselves.
Yeah, we should.
I'm your co-fry Sarah.
I'm your co-fry Christina.
I'm your co-fry Rebecca.
Gotta get back into that groove.
Now get back.
So yeah. Do we want to do anything for a Frybox? Like any life updates or anything?
Did we have an email?
Oh yeah, Opie the Red. Opie the Red emailed us.
We have an email, yeah. Okay. Well, let me hop us into the Frybox real quick then.
Let's go.
Short, cause we're 3 Friday short.
I miss it so much.
I know. It's so nice. I can press all the buttons again. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, do you guys have the email up?
I'm looking for it.
Oh my gosh. While you're doing that, I have a thought about this. And Sarah, I was hoping that your notes hadn't changed because I rewatched it again today. And I think it's so awesome that we chose to pause, and that now, given everything that's going on in the world and with overseas, and we'll dive into that, but it's a really interesting topic. I think I want to talk about this differently than I would have back in July about deconstruction and blind religion and faith and just the dehumanization of things. So this is a really cool episode for us to come back on and have some discourse on. So while you were pulling up the email, that's my Frybox.
I can't find it. If someone can help me out here.
Christina, while we're doing this, can you tap on your microphone for me?
Oh yeah. Do you need me to?
I think it's actually your headphones.
Oh, hold on. I think because when I left and came back, it did me dirty. Okay, hold on.
Oh gosh, there's so much junk mail in here now. Wait.
Yeah.
I've got one from Jay from July.
What's he assigned as? Is it Opie the Red?
Opie the Red, yep.
That's the one.
It's flagged, yep.
Okay.
You want me to read it? I've got it pulled up.
Okay, hold up. We good?
Yes, much better. Much better.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this email from Jay, aka Opie the Red, sent in July, literally the day before we were your notes were created. So
yeah,
this is how long this has been, everybody. Says, hi, Fries. Greetings from Jay in Ontario, Canada. And in parentheses, Opie the Red. I came across one of you on TikTok one day doing some Stargate related content about 6 months ago. So that's like a year ago at this point.
Oh, Jesus.
and noticed the hashtag 3FryShort podcast. I was intrigued and checked it out and started listening from the first episode. It was amazing and very interesting. I've really enjoyed the female perspective on the show, the extra facts, and reading some of the best scenes. I can visualize every episode with your great descriptions and scene readings. Yes,
Yay.
we're so great at our
Oh, yes.
with thespians.
Maybe, sure.
I
Okay.
also changed jobs about 3 months ago. So again, almost a year ago at this point, and now have a 20-minute commute to listen and enjoy the podcast during. You Fries are so great to listen to that I have been almost late a few times because I wanted to keep listening. I just finished listening to Ergo, and you reminded me of how that was one of my favorite episodes, number 1 being Window of Opportunity. Keep up the amazing work. By the way, I've included my Stargate origin if you're interested. Thanks,
Ooh.
Jay from Canada. So
Yes.
Jay's Stargate origin. I came across a show on the Space Channel around fall of 2004 while going to college in Toronto and thought it was so cool. I just had to watch more. So with the limited funds I had, I went out and purchased the first season, planning on only watching an episode a day. I had limited funds, so couldn't justify buying more at almost $100 each. Well, that season lasted about a week.
Oh, wow.
And I had to watch more. I ended up with about 4 seasons in the 6 months I was there. When I moved back home and started working full time again, I got more over the next few years. Then I found out about Atlantis and the movies, so I started collecting them as well. I also got Universe when it came out on DVD. I got the Origin movie and even purchased the pilot when they were released as a DVD. I was so excited when I
Nice.
found they were making an app and watched Stargate Origins every week, I think is what he's saying. Was disappointed by it in parentheses. Agreed, Jay.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. It's like Bruno. We don't talk about it.
And now I can stream it on Amazon/MGM. So that's
I
from
love
Jay,
Uh,
aka
those
Opie the Red.
that shit
Those-
makes me feel so good.
Yeah,
Those box sets were so expensive too
Oh.
back in the day. I don't know how much. I think I got my box set from Amazon, like all 10 seasons, for like less than $100.
They're so. Did I ever tell you guys what? You guys remember when I dated years ago, this guy that lived in Minnesota, and someone on here, one of my followers, was like, "Hey, I got the box sets," and he was obviously a crazy, not sane person, and he was jumped in and like messaged the guy and was like, "Have them sent to me. I don't want our address out there." I didn't know any of this, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I had the guy send them to me," and I was like, "Okay," and he like kept them, so I never got them.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I'm like, what? What? I want my DVDs.
The entire series is on Amazon for $109. So like, did he say one season costs like $100 back
It probably
then?
did back then, yeah.
That's
Christmas to me.
wild. That's wild. That's so much. Like,
Physical
Mhm.
media. Yeah.
I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it's yeah,
Oh.
I say invest in it because when Amazon Prime takes it off, I got my DVDs to back it up.
I know.
So,
That's for sure.
but yeah,
I'll
I
buy the
love
book.
hearing your story. I can totally relate to
Rob
like
in the
being late
comments
to work.
Also says it's on Pluto for free.
Mhm.
If anybody
Yeah.
needs to know. So
That you will
Yes.
get commercials though. I did watch it there one time, and it's like
That's
very
okay.
nostalgic because it's like, ooh,
because you
commercial
actually
break
get commercial breaks.
at those weird cuts. Sometimes not though. Sometimes like they choose a different time for it or something, but it's pretty cool when it's like, oh yeah, I remember this nostalgia.
Love it. Do we have any
Yeah.
other updates before we dive in? Do we have any life updates other than the strike being over, which is massive?
I mean, I don't
It's
think I
been
need to
a
share. I
roller-
don't think I need
yeah.
to share mine out publicly.
Yeah.
I didn't mean things that you wouldn't share, Christina.
Yeah.
share that out.
I'm like, go ahead and spill it all, like right now. Everybody's just
I was
like,
this is not a therapy session. I've been doing that on TikTok for the last 3 weeks.
no, not that. I just meant in general. I guess that's a no then.
Yeah, let's just get into
No,
it. We
let's
gotta
get into it. It's a good
get
one.
back into our
It's a
group.
big beefy. Let's do it. We're gonna be here forever.
So
Yep.
what did you guys think about okay, first of all, let me rewind. We're talking about season 3, episode 19, New Ground. So like I rewatched it today, kind of like half-assed. I was like doom scrolling as well. But I was kind of disappointed because I was like, there was something really good here, and they could have done a lot more to it, and they kind of just like farted it out, and like the ending kind of sucked, and I was like, it had like really good bones, but the execution was not there for me.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. I feel like every time I come across this episode, I feel the same way. Like I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed, but I don't want to speak on it now because you know how I get long-winded and there's lots to digest. I feel like I want to get to the end, especially rewatching it with the context of everything going on today.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the overview of this episode is the SG-1 team members' arrival on a planet makes them pawns in an ideological war over the origin of each group. Hashtag relatable. Like ideological wars and ideological processes. Like that's like every day. So our episode opens on the other planet, and a man and a woman who are Nyan and Malin, they're digging up the Stargate. And they just uncovered the last chevron. And they kind of appear to be like, okay, these are archaeologists of some kind. Like they're digging, they have like the brushes and they're dusty. Let me clean that. So like
Very
they're
professional.
they're not just like
Standing there like
yeah, like they're purposefully looking for stuff. They're not just like fucking around in a field like, oh, I stumbled across this. Like they're purposefully excavating and looking for stuff. And they're starting to make guesses over like what this thing is when like surprise, we get an incoming wormhole. Like just as they unburied it. Very convenient. And in the gate room, we see that it is Earth who is dialing. And Sam goes through this whole speech about how she created this dialing software to periodically redial like old gate addresses that they couldn't get through the first time. And this is their first hit. It's the cold dialing program. Again, very convenient. Like they literally just unearthed it. And it's like, oh, let me just dial this Earth planet.
well, it's like they knew they needed to explain it right away, but it was still like it was like still a cop out way of
yeah.
Oh, we just happened to hit it right now. It not like 3 months ago or 3 months from now. Just
very convenient.
Yeah.
So they send the map through, and they see Nyan and Malin, and Daniel begins to speak to Nyan through the map. And Daniel tells them he's basically making a long distance phone call from another planet, and they want to come visit. And Jack does point out that there is no DHD in sight. Because like they're right away like, hey, let's go. Like, pack your bags. We're going. Which it's like, really? Like, you don't know anything about this planet at all. Like,
right.
It was very
it's just like what Daniel and who's the guy? Nyan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the two of them going like, my mom said you could come over if it's okay with your mom. And they're just ready to go. Like,
but then I love it because then Hammond, who's usually like super apprehensive, is like, well, you're just gonna have to bring more Nequita with you.
Yeah.
Manually power it. It's like,
so
what?
Yeah.
Dad says it's okay, we can go. That's
you just have to bring extra supplies, children, just in case. So so Jack points out there's no DHD, so Hammond tells them to bring a Naquita generator so they can manually dial it. And by they mean Teal'c. And I remember talking about this episode at one point because poor Teal'c is always the one stuck manually dialing that shit because he's the only one that hits the gym apparently. And they do cut to him for like a hot second where it's like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be Teal'c. He's like, damn, you guys need to hit arms more. This is bullshit.
I know what's missing, and I need to say it so we can hang on the internet. One of the things is I feel like they were trying to write this where it's a Teal'c saves the day, but it wasn't. It was still white man saves through use of Teal'c. Savior.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna and take that to the end.
Yeah.
That just triggered me.
Malin runs off to snitch because she's like, no, we can't. Optrocrines and weird shit that we don't know about yet. And Nyan shouts after her to come back because whoever she's running towards, they might kill whoever comes through.
Mhm.
Dun dun dun. And it's like, bro, you couldn't have told them that, like, hey, we're kind of like in a weird place right now, and like
Maybe you shouldn't come over.
Mom and dad are fighting a lot. Like, maybe you shouldn't come for a sleepover.
You're gonna die, but they like can't tell him that.
Yeah.
Nope.
So then we get our
God.
opening credits. And then SG-1 arrive. They greet Nyan, and he seems relieved that they are human. And then he says something along the lines of like, the legends were true. And the legend being the Optrikins, that's really hard. Optrikins are another they're another group of people from another continent, and they believe that humans were brought to this planet by aliens who traveled through a gateway. But during a series of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, the gateway was buried and things could no longer come through. And so Nyan is a Bedrosian. And they believe that human life was created on Bedrosia without the gateway. It's very like, we evolved here versus like, no, we didn't. And the Optrikins believe that their holy gateway is on this Bedrosian continent. Therefore, they've been at war for decades. So there's kind of like the basis for this ideological war.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack right away tells Sam to get the reactor ready, and Teal'c is off in the distance, like scouting the lay of the land. Nyan admits that he wasn't even looking for the Stargate because Sam was like, how did you know to dig it up? And he was like, I didn't know shit. Like, I wasn't even, I don't know. I just found it by accident.
Oops.
And he doesn't assure Jack that they are a long way from any battlefields, like any active war zones. But then literally 3 seconds later, Teal'c spots 3 aircrafts approaching. So Jack wants to dial out really quick, but there's no time. Nyan runs off. Sam, Jack, and Daniel become constrained in this force field and get captured. And then Teal'c is like watching off in the distance in this forest, but he can't help. So we cut to see 3/4 of SG-1 tied up. Jack is trying to talk to them to get some information, but it's a tough crowd because he's like, you got someone in charge here? Like, can I speak to your manager? This is horrible customer service. Meanwhile, Teal'c has remained undetected, and he's watching from the woods. And he's watching this Bedrosian soldier, but another one sneaks up on him. They sneak attack him. They simultaneously shoot each other. Teal'c kills the soldier, but he is also shot right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
With this weird ray gun. Like, he's got, like, it looks like the worst case of acne on his face. Looks terrible.
Oh. Mm-mm. It's like all boiled. Like, it's
yeah. It's yucky. So cut back to the Stargate. The big cheese commander arrives with Malin, the snitch. Remember her? The commander's already telling her that this is a conspiracy. Oh God, Alex Jones here. It's a conspiracy. The frogs are gay.
Oh.
Do you look at my shirt?
Exactly. Very fitting.
I had no idea I had the right shirt on until just now.
That's amazing.
So right away, he's doing damage control and being like, this is fake news. And the vibes to Malin are not exactly warm and fuzzy because even though she's a snitch, she's not getting treated very kindly. Like, they're still kind of treating her like shit.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that's what happens. So even though she ran to tell them what happened, they still view her as a threat because she did see some stuff that they don't want her to see. So this commander also knows that there's somebody else out there, whether it's Nyan and another Optrikin, he wants them found. So the commander tries talking to SG-1. Jack speaks up, gives his name and rank, and then the commander thinks this is like some psychological warfare because like these Optrikins are trying to fuck with me, making shit up, making up all these uniforms. Like, he's going down the conspiracy.
He's committed. He is deep.
Yeah. So he orders a quarantine field to be set up, and then somebody injects them with something in their neck, which is terrifying.
Well, doesn't Jack be like, well, that's a needle? Like,
yeah,
that's extreme.
To not know what you're being shot up with, too, that's you don't know what you're going to be waking up like. So cut back to Teal'c. He's laying on the ground when Nyan approaches him. Nyan tells him the rest of SG-1 have been captured, and they can't get to them because Rygar, the head cheese, set up a quarantine field, and when they find the dead soldier that Teal'c shot, it's gonna get much worse. They're gonna be extra pissed. So we find out the one shot that Teal'c took to the face has blinded him. So not only does he have acne, he is also blind. Bad day for Teal'c.
Bad day.
So back to the Stargate, we have this dialogue between this woman who's just given the name Aide, she's just an aide, and the commanding officer Rygar. So would you guys like to read that?
Yes, and while we're at it, I'm pretty sure that Aide also was the Tok'ra in the Into the Fire or Out of the Fire, the Hathor two-parter.
No,
I think no,
because that one she was Ellen from Supernatural. I would remember that. The
Then
one that
she's
was
in
actually
something else.
Yeah.
She's done another role. I just don't know what it is.
But yeah, it wasn't. No, because I specifically remember like, oh, that's Ellen. Like, okay.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna look it up once we get through this dialogue just to see.
All right. Well,
I know she's done more than one.
Who would you like to be?
I'll take the aide.
Okay.
I have the results from blood analysis. There's a 98% correspondence. They are definitely human, but none of them are showing a particle match from the Bedrosian Central Registry.
Then it proves they are optrican.
Does it not? So,
no, that was.
Oh
me.
wait, that's you. It's
God,
you.
fail, epic fail. Start over. Okay, then it proves they are optrican.
Mate, I need to look unconvinced.
You look unconvinced, and I said, "Does it not?" And then you don't answer, and I say what you are thinking.
What if they are telling the truth? What if it is the gateway and the Optricans are right?
No, it's a lie.
How can you be sure?
I'm sure because we have not spent our lives praying to a god who does not exist, and many of our people have not lost their lives fighting a meaningless war. I won't accept that. I have studied the book of Nefertum, word for word, cover to cover. It is the truth.
What if it's not?
It is the truth. We began here. That device is a fabrication to the fake Optricon gateway myth.
To what end?
To sow the seeds of doubt among our people, to create dissension from within. I will not allow our people to have their faith attacked in such a cynical way.
This girl is full of questions. What do you want to do?
We will not allow the events that have transpired here to leave this place.
Then we must find this Nyan and the fourth Optrican.
Yes, and we will find out what we can from the 3 we have in custody. Then we will dispose of them. Jesus.
He does not like being confronted with some uncomfortable truths.
No, absolutely not.
He
just said, "Say what you're thinking," and then he's immediately regretted that.
Like, speak
it's like, wait,
mind.
no, not like that. Not like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So I thought this was like a really good scene that kind of shows that like how deep they are into this ideology, where they're confronted with some like pretty fantastical things and they're like, no, this is all fake. They planted it here. Like they're really going in this conspiracy of like instead of, but yeah. Very hard to convince.
Oh god. Yeah.
So Nyan leads Teal'c to a cave where he has some supplies and we get some more plot dump. So this is just Nyan and Teal'c again. You guys got this.
We do. Okay, pick your person.
Again? Yeah, I picked last time.
You can choose your player. Come on. You can choose.
Teal'c.
Okay. For years, I have been searching for proof that we were created on this continent by Nefertum.
Nefertum.
Oh,
the blue lotus blossom of Ra.
He's represented in our text by a blue lotus blossom. But what is Ra? And how do you know about Nefertum?
Nefertum was an under system lord to the one named Ra. It is with him whom I did battle.
I don't understand. Nefertum was and is the creator of all of us. He created this planet and this great continent.
Correction. Nefertum was an alien who most likely brought your people through the Stargate as slaves many thousands of years ago.
That is what the Opticans say.
They are correct.
Oh, dear Nefertum, this is blasphemy. It is true. I could change everything. I must show my colleagues
at the Research Academy.
Can you be certain they will believe you?
They are scientists, as am I. They will realize they are wrong when presented with evidence.
Your military has the Stargate in its command.
Not the gateway. You are the proof.
I will not be the proof, and I will not allow my friends to be imprisoned as they are.
So this guy Nyan like seems to have a little bit
Mhm.
more of a head on his shoulders because he's like, oh
Mhm.
fuck, I was wrong. I gotta tell all my like homie friends about this, and like they'll nerd out over science and stuff.
Well, that's as a scientist should. You see evidence and you take a different direction. You follow the evidence.
There's a really good I hope I have it in here, but there's a really good exchange between him and Teal'c about that as well. About like I'm a scientist, even if I'm proven wrong, it's just as good as being proven right because I still get to learn stuff. So
Yeah.
Nyan sees blood seeping through Teal'c's clothes and leaves to get some more supplies that will help. Teal'c tries to go after him, but he can't see anything. And he hits his head against the cave wall, and then he's swarmed by these space bats. And he's like, okay, fine. I guess I'm just going to have to chill here. You can't really go anywhere. Cut back to the Stargate. SG-1 are being held in electrified dog crates, which is super fun looking.
God.
I would
No.
be telling them anything they wanted to know within like an hour, because having to sit cross-legged and then not being able to like lean against something because the bars were electrified, I'm done.
No.
I'm done.
Done.
I'll tell you what you want. Just give me lumbar support, please. I would cave
Exactly.
so quickly.
So quickly.
God, you're such a wimp.
My hunchback hurts.
Oh,
That's all I could
no.
think about every time I saw them in those cages.
No,
I was
it
like,
looks
that is a
so
hard surface. They can't even lean back. Like my lower body is just screaming
No,
at
see,
me.
I would just sit there. I would do some child's pose. I'd stretch it out. I'd be in there for the long haul. Y'all can suck it. I'll be there. Practice. And then I'd cave like 1 minute after you guys did, because then I would see everyone cave and I'd be like,
Like, what's
I'm
the
not going to be by
point?
myself. What's the point? You guys are all out.
Exactly.
No.
So we do have some more dialogue. O'Neill, Daniel, Carter, and Rygar.
Ooh.
I'll grab the O'Neill.
I feel like I want to. Oh shoot. Okay, I can't do Daniel Rygar because they're back and forth a little bit. So I'll do Daniel.
I'll be Carter and Rygar then.
Okay, that
I
works.
think
Okay,
Carter kind of, yeah. I'm not
So
setting
Jack
myself
says-
up.
Yeah. So Jack says, I have no friends in the woods or otherwise.
We're not spies. We're peaceful explorers. We travel through what you call your gateway.
The Stargate isn't made of regular stone. If given enough power, a wormhole forms within the circle, and that allows us to travel to other worlds. Wormhole?
Giant worms. Huge.
Wormhole is just an expression. It has nothing to do with worms. It's a tunnel through space.
And how is this illusion of water created that I've heard described?
Well, you're right in that it is an illusion. It's not actually water.
Then what is it?
Magic.
It's an event horizon made up of quantum particles that form a wormhole.
An alien race, the Goa'uld, used the Stargate to transport humans from Earth to other planets, which is how your people came to be on Bedrosia.
My people began on Bedrosia, as did yours. We were all created by Nefertum.
Nefertum, son of Sekhmet, Blue Lotus Blossom. That's who you believe created you?
Yes.
Well, he must have been a Goa'uld.
A what?
An alien. He must have transported your people through the Stargate.
Optrican fallacy.
Just bury his head in the sand.
Just no.
Yeah. So while anytime Daniel is contradicting their beliefs, they're like giving him a poke with this cattle prod shock weapon. So that's fun.
So
Right.
real quick here while we're in a stopping
Yeah.
place. The same the aide lady was in the episode Ethan, and she was the minister of the Caledonian Federation. That's where she is.
Okay.
So
that
this
makes
was her
sense.
first time, and then she had a bigger
That makes
bigger part
sense.
in Ethan. So
Okay.
similar vibes with those two
Mhm.
episodes too, with like the
Mhm.
warring countries and everything. So anyway.
Mhm.
They're like, we got a girl for this episode.
I know just the person.
She got this. A
So
little bit of betrayal. She's got this.
some ideological warfare. Cool. So Rygar's done with their interrogation and he sends them back to their dog crates. And back in the cave, Teal'c is reaching into, this is graphic. I was like, whoa! He's reaching into his symbiote pouch, just making all the nasty, like, sounds.
Sarah,
Sounds
don't
like-
do that again.
Like he's stirring macaroni.
Oh,
That's exactly
You
what
know
it
that
is.
wet sat, yes.
okay.
Anyway.
Mm-mm.
Right as Nyan walks into, he walks in, he's like, what the fuck did I just walk into? And he's very shocked. He thought that they were all humans, but Teal'c is an alien. And Nyan brought back a healing device for Teal'c's eyes. And Teal'c explains that he will heal on his own because he's a Jaffa and his symbiote will heal him. But the symbiote was injured and it needs to heal itself first. I think Teal'c like hurt himself with his own staff weapon. That's what he says.
Mhm.
It is also possible that the symbiote could die, which would be bad. Nyan says, you know, you're the most important thing that has ever happened to my planet, although I haven't decided if this is good or bad yet. So that's a very interesting kind of way to put it. He's like, this is big and it could go either way. Like this could be very good for us or very fucking bad. Cut back to the Stargate / quarantine field. They yoink Daniel out of his dog cage and take him to out of the tent because they found
They found the dad soldier.
the dad soldier.
The
Oh.
DHD. Wow, what spell check was that? And they're pissed because they're like, you planted this shit again? But Daniel still denies that there's a fourth person on the team. And he's like, we didn't plant that shit. That's wasn't us. So cut back to Nyan and Teal'c. You guys want to read this?
Totally.
Sure. Same rules.
Oh, of course.
What do your people intend to do with my friends?
They are evidence that everything my people believe in is wrong and that everything the enemy believes in is right. And that is not an easy thing for military minds to digest.
Then they will kill my friends and destroy the Stargate and deny this event ever occurred.
Probably. And then, do you want me to go to the next thing he says?
Yeah.
You are proof that my theories have been all wrong. Teal'c. I'm a scientist. When I find evidence that my theories are wrong, it is as exciting as if they were correct. Scientific advance in either direction is still an advance.
There you
Yep.
go.
So this does earn Teal'c's trust because he tells Nyan, you sound like Daniel Jackson. And he uses this healing device on Teal'c's eyes. Nyan tells Teal'c that he was able to get to the camp and SG-1 are still alive and they also found the DHD. Teal'c's eyesight does begin to return, but it's going to take multiple rounds of this thing to get it to completely restore. Back at the camp, Daniel is brought back into the tent. He's given one more chance to explain about the DHD or the missing extra person on the team. And of course, he denies it because they're all trying to they all deny that there's this fourth person. They're trying to give Teal'c a fighting chance to help them out and be like, there is no war in Bossing, say, or whatever. They're very nope, it's just us. You're crazy. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. So Rygar shoots Sam with the Zat, and luckily she slumps forward. I think she was really trying to if I'm gonna get shot, I don't want to fall.
Way.
Yeah, which Jack is not so lucky because Rygar asks again. Daniel denies it. He shoots Zach, but Zach. Jeez.
He zats Jack.
Yes.
I think that's where you were going.
Yeah, I was thinking Zap. But Jack falls back onto the electrical dog crate that also is kind of like a bug zapper too. It's really fucked up. And he's like, can you please turn it off? Because he's going to die if you don't. And then the gate luckily begins to dial and he thinks for a moment and he cuts the power to Jack's cage. Outside, the wormhole is established. It's the SGC.
It's Daddy
Daddy
calling.
Yeah,
It's
he's
calling
like, "Where are
check on
my
us."
kids? What the fuck?
Daddy Hammond.
They were supposed to be back, and they're still at your house, bitch." So Hammond radios through, and Rygar tells Hammond they have SG-1 in custody. So back in the cave, Nyan is still working on Teal'c's eyes. He can see much better now, and he wishes to depart. And he gives Nyan a zat to defend himself. So back at the Stargate, Rygar is talking to Hammond, and he still believes this is a conspiracy. He is so deep into conspiracy corner that like he's not coming out.
No, hell no.
And Hammond gets a visual on Daniel because the Malp is now inside this quarantine tent where their dog crates are. But it moves too much because they're like wagging around this like camera on top of the Malp, and it alerts one of the soldiers. So Rygar tells Hammond if there's any attempt at rescue, he will execute SG-1. He shoots the Malp with a Zat and makes arrangements for SG-1 to be moved to a more secure location.
Nell has a really good comment about Rygar. Commander Rygar is a great example of the backfire effect. You get evidence a core belief is wrong and it's so threatening to your identity, you double down and deny the evidence. Exactly.
100%. Relevant and so
very well said.
So yeah, he wants to move SG-1 to a more secure location, which if you've ever watched true crime and know anything about serial killers, you don't want to be moved to a second location because you're done for.
You dead.
Don't let them move you. Fight. So back to the forest. Teal'c and Nyan have devised a plot. Teal'c looks rough though. He's like gray. He's looking rough. So they see an aircraft overhead. Teal'c shoots a blast from his staff as a way to like get their attention. And the craft lands. The soldier emerges looking for the source of the blast. Nyan shoots him with a Zat gun. So they now have acquired an aircraft with more weapons. Excellent. They crash land the shuttle into the quarantine zone, and Nyan runs out, giving an Oscar-worthy performance. He says that Teal'c killed the soldier and tried to kill him. Rygar orders his men to take the shuttlecraft and find Teal'c, but it's a trap, of course, and Teal'c opens fire as they like rush into it. So then a firefight ensues. Nyan releases SG-1 and gives them their weapons. Daniel makes a run for the DHD and dials out. And then Teal'c sends the GDO code. They make a break for it. Jack goes back for Teal'c. They make a run for the gate, but then Nyan is shot by one of their weird weapons. It's not like a Zat. It's one of their like stun guns. Teal'c grabs him. He's like, no, but he's coming with us. Like, he helped us out. He's coming with us. And they get through the gate right as like a whole fleet of these aircraft show up. So they all make it through alive. There are 3 minutes left in this episode. So at this point, kiss any thoughts of closure goodbye. Yeah. Cut to the infirmary. Teal'c is on the mend, and the Air Force agreed to give Nyan refugee status. Daniel has a backlog of ancient artifacts gathered from previous missions and proposes Nyan be his research assistant. It would also be a great way to learn about the history of his ancestors. So would you like to read those closing sentiments?
We shall. Thank you, Teal'c.
You have saved my life, as well as the life of my friends. It is I who should thank you.
I still wish I could have shown you to my friends in the science community. They would have been fascinated.
Perhaps one day the situation on your planet will improve and you will get that opportunity.
And then we never see Nyan, Daniel's research assistant, ever again.
Ever again.
That job didn't work out. It just,
No.
just didn't work out.
Okay.
I like.
Okay, I gotta
so annoyed at like how this ended, because like one, it's
too
unrealistic.
clean. It was
You
too...
know, Earth would be meddling in that shit, trying to spread democracy or whatever the fuck. Like, you know, they would be going. So it's like they just leave. Nyan can never go home. Those people are gonna cover it up and never tell the truth. It's gonna be a conspiracy that, like, you know, they'll make podcasts about in like 10 or 15 years. To be like, did you hear the myth about this great stone ring? Blah blah blah. And like, it's gonna be.
Well, they're gonna be like, they abducted Nyan, or Nyan whatever.
There's gonna be like episodes of The Unexplained, and William Shatner is gonna be like, "Have you ever heard?" And like, yeah, like,
No, and then you're gonna have the like ancient alien dude with big hair and be like, "The aliens!" Like,
what's Giorgio Tsoukalos? Is that his name?
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So like,
oh.
there's no closure. Like, it really had a good. We zoomed right through it too. It had good bones. Like, it could have been something really cool, but
It could have, and
they
like
focused on like the weirdest shit.
they did. Okay, so I need to like get this off my chest. You know how I am. I've been waiting to like say this thing
Yeah.
that like triggered in me around what bothers me with Teal, because like there's so many other episodes where Teal has been given the like save the day, but there's this whole carved out storyline about the fourth member, right? They're trying to build tension. It's like the pacing is off, and Rebecca, like, you're going to be able to explain these words. I'm going to say them wrong, so don't like say it wrong. But I felt like the pacing was off, so there was no like push pull of like, is he going to be able to do it? He's not going to be able to do it. It's just like, okay, it's going to get done because we're just checking off like a bunch of boxes on the list to get this episode done. But like Teal'c, it's these moments where, oh, he got blinded. Oh, his symbiote might die. But I never felt like that was actually at risk, right?
Mm-mm.
And then he gets saved by this guy. And then like that's how he gets to come back and then like potentially redeem himself again. But then there's a scene where they open the gate, but then the iris closed because the code hasn't come through yet. And it's even like intentionally like we should probably have felt that stress a little bit more. But you just cut back, and then all of a sudden, Teal puts the code through. He's like, "Go!" And then they just go. I'm not stressed throughout the episode. It's so nonchalant, and that's what bothers me because Teal'c is just like not. I don't know. It just
It was a
bothers
nothing
me.
burger. It really
It
was.
was a
Like, I
total
didn't
nothing
really
burger.
feel too much. I hate when like I feel like Teal'c is either he's separated for like the reason of like in The Devil Went Down to Natu. That
I love that
That
that's
one.
what it's called now.
Devil went down the neck.
That's immediately what I thought. He was like separated because he's flying the getaway craft, and like he does save the day, and like that's awesome. But also kind of sucks because it's like he's still kind of like secluded from the rest of the group. So like when Teal'c does have times to shine, it doesn't feel like as good as like when maybe it's Sam who split off from the rest of the group and like
like the
being a
challenges
total
aren't the same.
badass.
Like they're not the same. Like you
Yeah.
don't see Teal'c's like abilities to make it happen.
Yeah.
It feels like they split Teal'c off for a plot device when they need to, because if Teal'c had been captured, then like immediately that aide lady would have been like, yo, we like went to take blood work and like something really weird is going on with this dude.
Yeah.
So it's like if he had been there and they had proof of him existing, they wouldn't have been able to go back and forth so many times about how that's a lie. Blah,
Totally.
blah,
Yeah.
blah. So it feels like they do that with Teal'c a lot. There was a reason for in The Devil Went Down to Natu too.
Because there was a Gould.
Because Apophis would have.
Yeah, they would have known right away.
They would have known immediately. Yeah.
And Binar was a Gould, so he would have been able to sense Teal'c's symbiote.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So
they just that's when they seem to do it.
Yeah.
And I get like what they wanted to do with Nyan being like the nerdy guy that like gets partnered up with the big buff dude and like gets to save the day or something, but it
doesn't track.
Well, my issue with this episode, and I didn't realize until this time I watched it through, is that like I feel like nothing happened. Nothing happened.
No.
At all. I feel like the whole episode existed over like an hour or two, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because they just stayed in the same place and they just kept yelling at Daniel about who's your fourth person instead of having other conversations that they could have had that would have made it like a lot more interesting.
But, yeah, and so I feel like had we had this back in July, I would have ended my thoughts on this episode around there. and like maybe a little bit about like the blind faith and like this kind of that double down into thing. But now, and I don't know that I want to go super deep, but we can like into this topic. But like this idealism of just blind propaganda and like the inability to look at facts in front of you and deconstruct is really challenging. And I see a lot of that going on right now. And I do think they do a good job showing how stupid that blind faith can be and like how like obscene it is when like you're presented with very great detailed facts laid out and you're just like denial because it happens constantly.
Yeah. And then people like if you have sources, then people will be like, well, that's not like a credible source. And it's like
it's fake. Yeah.
Kind of is. You know?
But or they just present like their own source. And it's like you can search the internet and find an article that supports literally any viewpoint. However reputable that might be is questionable.
Totally.
But you can find something that supports any viewpoint. So that's why it's like, okay, now you have to like put your thinking cap on and like think critically here.
No, people don't want to do that.
Yeah, only to support their own ideologies. So for themes and discussion, I have this like quote. This German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said that all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. We've seen that. Make fun of it. Haha, so silly. What the fuck? What the Second, it's violently opposed, which Rygar just jumped right to that. Violently opposition. And then the third, it is accepted as being self-evident, which it's so true. Like, and I'm just thinking like pop culture wise of like, when you look back on like say Britney Spears of how like, oh my God, like she like back in 2007, it was insane to see like how she was being ridiculed, how she was being made fun of all the time. And then like now we look back and it's like, whoa, that was fucked up. Like just the way it goes through, or like even with the way that certain celebrities were viewed with like body positivity. Like I've seen this like picture of Jessica Simpson go around. They're like, can you believe we called her fat back then? And now it's like she looks like a normal person. And just that kind of weird ideological shift between like 20 years ago to now. And that's just like more pop culturally. Like you can get really heavy into this topic talking about a lot of other things. But like once I heard that quote and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can totally see how that has worked out through history of like, okay, first it's made fun of and ridiculed. Then you have like the violent opposition and then you have the acceptance. And you can kind of see that play out. So in a battle of ideologies, we only see the one side. We only see the Bedrosians. And we only see a really small fraction of their population, a military fraction. So it's easy for us to say that they're the bad guys, but we never meet the Optricans. So it's easy for us to assume that they're the good guys just because they're right, but they could be doing some really fucked up shit too. We don't know. We're getting a very limited perspective. And just because they're factually correct doesn't mean that they are morally correct. And they could have turned their ideology into oppressive religion or government regime as well. We can only guess.
Well, and it makes me think about, like, to your point, we don't see anyone who actually represents the Bedrosians like at all. We just see this like offshoot, for all we know, just like manic sergeant who's just like, it lacks depth. Back to our whole consistency with this episode, it's just super surface level, like a nothing sandwich, and there's no context.
It's just like people who see samples of like our government on TV and like they peg all Americans like that, and it's like, no way. Like there's so many people here that have so many different thoughts and opinions, and like you're looking at a very small sample of what is representing us as a country. So it's easy to kind of like get swept up in that like bite size like clips or like those sound bites that go viral, and it's really easy to get swept up into those little bits and pieces and not see the whole picture. So here's an open-ended question. What harmful ideologies have we overcome in the past, and what are some that we still experience today? Who wants to open that can of worms?
It's gonna get opened. I don't think I can start though.
I mean, go ahead, Rebecca.
I mean, queer people being considered mentally ill and
Totally.
and like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just the first one I thought of.
Yeah.
But
There's so many.
But that's really relevant to like your experiences, and then like by detachment, like the dehumanization too in that space of just kind of saying of the othering is really tough, because like I would say I grew up in, you know, this really traditional Christian family, as if you've been around, you know, and like as they've grown, you know, we've all grown, but it doesn't change the experiences of childhood and those ideologies that were put in there. Like, you know, there was up until like, I don't know, maybe my high school, college days where it was like, oh, gay people can't get married. Like there was a ton of that space where it's just going, what the fuck is all this shit? That whole deconstruction. But like it is this like thing that queer people are in this other category where, in like one of my favorite things to hate is this term hate the sinner, or hate the sin, not the sinner. And I'm like, so then
I hate that.
And I used to hear that all the time growing up in my family.
Yep.
No, we hate the sin, not the sinner. We are all sinners in God's eyes. So we hate the sin. And I'm like, so, but you're still saying it's a sin. It's not a sin to be queer. So I think that's a really important one to bring to the top, because people are, I swear to God, like can't get their shit straight in this space. Like people are people.
Yeah.
I've got a kid. What's up? Do you want to come over here for 1 second and whisper to me? A phone charger? Priorities, everyone.
Phone chargers are important.
They are very important. You know what, my love? You may take this one right here. So sorry. This is part of.
Welcome to everyone out there who's just new to our lives. There are cats and kids and all sorts of things. So enjoy.
Yes.
Bonnie's watching Hallmark movies.
And Bonnie's watching Hallmark Christmas movies upstairs. So
phone chargers take priority. So
I'm
sorry. It's critical.
Agreed.
Right away, like I think again to like as far as like I don't know if it would be like ideologies per se, but like with the way people present themselves in so many ways, like colored hair, like blue hair or like fashion colors in their hair. 50 years ago, you would probably get made fun of. And I'm like, people still make fun of that shit to this day though, but like it's much more widely accepted. Tattoos, like so many places, even in my time of like working for like 15 years, where it's like when I first started working, many companies had people cover up their tattoos, and now like it's like they don't care. It's not really a thing. So like
I had to wear long sleeves every single day teaching in Korea.
Really?
Oh my God.
What was the weather like there? Did it get hot?
Oh yeah, it got hot during the summer. But I would like come to work, you know, and I had like the like little they're for protecting you from the sun, but they're the little like sleeves that you can put on. And I would wear those in, and then I had my button-up shirts that I kept like there, and I would just change into one of the shirts. So I only had it on, you know, in the school, and then as soon as I left school, you know, everything came off. So
Probably be miserable. Absolutely not.
But even like even people with disabilities or like I think of like those old freak shows where it's like if somebody was a dwarf, that was the only way they could make money, being publicly ridiculed. which is one of those stages that that quote talks about. And now it's like they can fit into society like the people, regular people that they are. So it's really interesting to kind of look back and see like what changes have been made or like what has become more acceptable.
I would say, and that kind of realm of ideology is also the approach to parenting that it's not a, for me, it's now very much about like understanding my child and like creating a path to kind of like, I don't mean to like dance through life, but like it's creating like the right steps so that she can get where she needs to go. It's not me form fitting her to my agenda, but like growing up, it was so much this like, here's the agenda, here's the like structure. And like, I just like, you just as a society, I think a lot of us just like rinse and repeat like into that like whole chain of just everybody the same, everybody gets conformity. And if you conform, you're going to be good. But it's been so profound as a parent to just take that all away. And like, that brings no joy, that brings no nothing, but instead like we're looking at like alternative schooling and options because like you want them to be the best version of them. You don't want them to be the best member of society. That's very like Handmaid's Tale-ish. You know, like
we're not a very boomer mentality. Yeah, that was. I feel like that's the mentality my parents had of like, this is what we expect our children to be. You need to present yourself this way. You need to do this in public instead of like letting your children explore who they are and become their own person. It was very much like, be the person that your parents enforce you to be because like God forbid you embarrass me in public or something like that.
Oh my God. Well, my sister and I were talking about this because I just went home, and what's interesting is that you know, we both were on this like forced path. We both went to college. She got her degrees, got a master, did all these things. And me, I got to like senior year and I'm like, I'm out. Like I'm done. Like, I don't think this is going to teach me what I need to do, and I'll figure it out. And we're talking is we both like, she stuck this one course, did all this extra stress to herself. And sure, I've gone through my own thing, but we literally have the same exact job at different companies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I've had way more fun along the way.
Yeah.
Not that she's had it, but like I've lived my truth. And I know more about myself in that space. And I would much rather have that, because naturally the desire to like go or make something of yourself is still going to happen. And we just found that comical. She's like, I could have just been doing my thing and not getting all these masters. I could have been in the same spot. Like, yeah, because the right places, like if you've got the right alignment, like it'll work out. It'll come to you. So I find that part interesting, is that there really is not a cookie cutter path. You don't need to conform in that space. So
yeah. So this episode also touches on power and control and the lengths that a government or military will go to in order to maintain it and protect the status quo. Because despite the evidence, Rygar remains closed-minded and willing to execute SG-1 and destroy the gate just to preserve that status quo. Which, it's like so relevant in today. Like, so yeah. And I know like we were talking on your live about like the laws against like reproductive health care and stuff. And it's like, that's just a way to exert control over people and power over people. Like, that's the one thing I think people should really have a choice in, is like whether they become parents and like be able to plan for.
Totally.
And it's truly their religious belief that they think certain things are wrong, and that's fine. You think that, but then don't force that onto other people. Or they're hiding behind that religious ideology so they can exert power and control and be like, well, we don't want you, like they hide behind that as like a moral high ground or like a moral superiority.
Well, and I would have liked in this episode if they could talk a little bit more about what would have happened had it fallen apart, right? It's like I think we all have a baseline of understanding of what happens should the narrative come out, but we don't understand the full potential of the collapse of that, right? Like what do we feel would come behind that? Like because we don't know the Octarians or whatever they're called. Like, we don't know those people. We don't know what other ideologies are out there, like in what they're rooted in.
Mhm.
But this idea that that you protect it without question. It's like because it's always been this way, it'll always stay that way, because you're so insecure that if you had to lose that, who are you, right? Your whole identity has been wrapped up in this thing. And I think for a lot of people, their entire identity has been wrapped up in their existence is wrapped up in a purpose, a bigger purpose that has been ordained for them. And who are they if that goes away? And I think a lot of that gets rooted in insecurity because people aren't willing to hold a mirror up to themselves and go, who am I? Who am I without this thing? And that's a scary place.
That's,
So that reminds me of. So go ahead, Rebecca.
I was just going to say that I just keep thinking about they could have gone there and used that trope that you see that trope in so many places of the whole like we can't let this get out because everybody will riot and society will collapse and whatever. Like how many times have you seen that in a movie or a TV show or whatever? And nobody ever, it's like the government just saying, no, you're all too stupid. So we're going to think for you and we're going to keep our power that way. Because you clearly can't do things for yourself, like.
Yeah. That also makes me think of like how you talked about like people who invest so much of their like personality into this ideology. And then without ideology, they're like, who am I? They have this crisis. I came across this subreddit called X Red Pillars. And it's basically men who have left the red pill community looking for support and like, yeah, I'll send it to you. It's really interesting. I just lurk there. I just like to read and see like where people are.
Like,
no, I don't like I'm strictly like there to read and like
God, I love this about you.
For the most part, when I get to the comments, like people have already said what I was thinking way better anyway. But I saw this one post and it was like this guy, I'm assuming, he was like, I'm so emotionally lost without this community. Like, I don't know where I am anymore. And it's like, yeah, because you invested your entire personality into this ideology. And now that you have outgrown it or made a choice to leave it, you feel lost. Like you feel that emptiness, that hole, which was probably there before, but then you filled it with, and now that it's gone, you feel it again. And it's so true that like once those ideologies are stripped away, if you don't know who you are in your heart, like as a person, you can feel so lost without that crutch.
You have to learn how to sit with yourself, and like it can be hard, but you got to be willing to sit in that darkness and go, let me be still here. And that shit is scary if you're not given the tools to do it.
Yeah.
And like it just, and that's when it just goes back to conversations we've had a million times over about just people being comfortable within themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have any good comments?
I'm reading through them now. I've tried to stay away from them, but let's see. Oh, I have a child. One moment.
We have one from Nell again from earlier talking about
somewhere
in the last 10 years, jokes about characters being trans or gay stop being trendy or common. And she says, I have a hard time watching shows from right before that, even if otherwise it was a good show. I agree.
Ventura.
I've been watching, Bonnie and I will do a full binge rewatch of like a sitcom. We're on 30 Rock right now, but in almost all of them, there have been those moments where it's like, ugh. Like,
and that wasn't too long ago.
No. The only one that we've watched at all where we never hit one of those moments was Golden Girls.
Fucking love that for us.
Yeah.
Oh God, you guys are gonna make me convert because, like, I don't know. My dad was watching Seinfeld when I was there, and I was like, "Ooh, nope."
No, Golden Girls was so great because they covered really heavy topics in a very tactful way. Like AIDS, back in the 80s and 90s, AIDS was huge. They covered that. Blanche had a gay brother. They did a couple episodes with that. That was so good. And like to look back and to live that moment, like if I could transport myself back to whatever 1989 or whatever, I'm astounded at how good that holds up. Truly.
It really does. It really, really does. I think that's why we've rewatched all of Golden Girls since the beginning of the pandemic, probably 4 or 5 times. Like we just keep going back to Golden Girls because it's just.
Dorothy's brother was like a drag queen or something of that variety too. Phil.
Yeah.
And like
Jonathan
he was
Phil.
married. Yeah.
Dorothy's best friend was lesbian. Yeah.
Yep. The roomie, the college roomie, right?
Yeah, she had a crush on Rose.
Yeah.
Lesbian. Was it Danny Thomas one? Not Lebanese, Blanche.
Lesbian.
God.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good. Okay, so we don't go way down our off tracks that we do all the time. So what else in this episode? So we've talked about.
We didn't share the picture yet.
Oh, we didn't.
My out of context recap.
Yeah, I think
the whole 13 people watching.
I think you need to mix up your pictures and like pick one from an episode like in a couple of seasons or something and make it, and then we can like put it up and try to see if people can guess what episode it is. Because I feel like I could have done that with this one.
Yeah.
I think I could have guessed the episode.
Caution, laser.
The dog crates really give it away.
And the random bats, which added nothing to the cave scene, like
except the Turtilk from like running out. He's like, oh, I bumped my head and these rabid bats are chasing me. I guess I'm not going anywhere.
Oh God. That's
funny. I love it.
Yeah. I also like how we were just like, yeah, if I was in one of those cages, I'd start talking.
Yeah, I can only sit. Listen, there are a lot of things happen while I was in Korea, and a lot of realizations.
I'm sorry, what?
A lot of realizations happened while I was in Korea, including the fact that we would have to go to like all school staff dinners, and it was always a nice Korean place, established Korean place. So it was always like floor seating, always. And I always had to be on the end because they can all just stay cross-legged the whole time. And I'm like, I gotta stretch my legs out. Like I can't yeah, I'm like, I can't feel my legs anymore, you know? So yeah, that's why I looked at those look at those cages and I'm like, I'll tell you whatever you want, whatever you need to. Just tell me what you want to know.
Just let me stretch, please.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting. Oh my God. See, it's fascinating what would make each of us break. Like,
there's so many worse things that I'd be like, nah, I can still handle it. But like sitting in a dog cage.
Okay, so like what? Okay, so like if we've established the cage would break you, what wouldn't? Like, what's something that you think would break most people, but not you?
I don't know.
I'm pretty weak. I think anything with water, I would immediately fold.
Water. I think I'd be decent.
Scary.
Yep.
No, drowning is. I just hate like not being able to breathe and like having airways obstructed. So like waterboarding be a no for me, dog. Although I do neti pot myself on a regular basis, so I feel like I'm more prepared than other people might be.
Oh.
Sarah. Oh, I love you.
I did finally hit that point during my last COVID where I could not neti pot. Like
that's the worst because you're so swollen shut. That's I was like that once and I was like, this is fucking miserable. Like it's not even I'm congested with like stuff.
It's like literally swollen. Yeah.
The water couldn't pass through. It was the worst.
Yep.
All right, I have one final question, and it's actually related to this like point you made, Sarah, about Rygar remaining closed-minded. What's a scenario, like what's a time that you've encountered someone that, and what was it that they were so closed-minded about that you just had to walk away? Was there ever a time where you're like, I'm walking away from this because they are just not at all willing? And like someone personal.
Oh, okay. Like
every day.
besides every day on the internet. Like,
But like someone that mattered to you, someone that like maybe would have been closer to you that you're like, shit.
Yeah.
my dad, I do that with my dad all the time. Like, I'm like, I'm not changing his mind. I'm not putting in that emotional labor unless somebody's paying me, for one. And like, I know that I can't change his mind. He's like 60 some years old. I'm like, that ship has sailed. The lead poisoning has sunken in. He's set in his ways. Like, I'm not wasting my time on that. It's not worth it. And there's certain people that like I truly will not engage with. It's like I'm not talking to you. It's not worth it to me. I have nothing to say to you. So it truly is about like choosing your battles. And I know that there are people out there who like it's just like a grift. Some of these content creators, it's just a grift. They're just saying the most inflammatory shit to get a response, and it fucking works. And I hate that it works. And like people that just come to you with like dishonest intellectual like dishonest arguments, like purposeful dishonesty, where they're like purposefully misunderstanding you, purposefully missing the point, and being as like obtuse as possible. And it's like, I'm not just going to argue with a brick wall. Like, I only want to have conversations that are going to be productive. I'm willing to secede certain points. I'm willing to be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But how do we fix that? Like, I can see where you're coming from. And if somebody's not going to meet me there and be the same way, what is there to be gained? Like,
nothing. Nothing. You gain nothing. You only have your sanity to lose.
Yeah. It's not worth the emotional labor.
Yeah, I would say I probably have not had many conversations where people didn't just double down on what they like, what their beliefs were. And I remember watching an Adam Ruins Everything back in the day, where he had a statistic in it, and I wish I'd like had it on hand, but it was the your percentage chance of ever, getting somebody to change from like that's a stance that they're like fully behind.
Yeah.
And it's like next to nothing to get like
they have to do it on their own. It has to be something that they realize on their own and go through their own process. Like having somebody like yell at you or like, and I've seen people like on like, I don't want to say like the good side or like the correct side, but like people whose beliefs like align more of what I'm saying, trying to like debate someone or like educate people. And it's like, the delivery matters. Like you can't talk condescendingly to people. You can't be an asshole, because who are you gonna attract with that? Who's gonna really want to listen to you if you're gonna be a dick about it? It goes both ways too. Like you catch more flies with honey than with a shit. Or no, I don't know.
No, you probably catch a lot of flies with shit.
That's true.
I was gonna say.
Wrong saying. Vinegar. I don't know.
Vinegar. No, water. I don't know what the saying is
But
either.
so like I don't engage in debate a lot, and I see like so many like debate content, and it's like, this is not a good faith debate. This is just like for clickbaity sound bites, and nothing is being accomplished here. So
yeah, I think I've said it before too, because my personal favorite pastime is troll hunting, but I do that in full knowledge that we're not changing that troll's mind at all. It's
no, I would just like to fuck with people.
100%.
Let's
be
real.
I have not gone troll hunting in a long time, so I'm ready. Sorry,
I
that guy what?
There was this one guy in one of your videos one time. I think it was about like being pro-choice. And I just like was I was like, how many kids have you adopted?
Yeah, the kid thing.
And he was like 3. And I'm like, oh, cool. I've adopted 4. Like, I just one up him. I have no children. But like, I'm making this guy like waste his time and energy replying to me. That's the kind of troll that's the kind of troll I want to be. Have you guys ever watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
An energy vampire.
The energy vampire.
When he's trolling online. That's
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so true though. And like you just gotta, those people.
I like that guy didn't adopt any kids either. He was fucking lying too. But I just like the fact that like I was having like a kind conversation. I was fucking with him, but he was still taking the time to reply. And he was like, what does this have to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm just trying to have a nice conversation about our kids. What are you talking about? Like, just, yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
I
About
love
my kids that totally don't exist that I did not adopt, but yeah.
God, give them the whole backstory. Oh my God. Okay. Well, like how we always go, we've
Gone down some tangents.
we've gone down
Yeah.
some pathways.
I think that's what's expected of us at this point.
Oh,
So,
100%. 100%. It's good to be back on an actual episode. For those who are just like with us right now, like we've not done an episode for quite some time. So
Yeah.
this is fun.
yeah. I mean, it's been for good reasons. We've had some pretty awesome opportunities recently, but it is so nice to get back into the routine of it.
Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah.
down to
Okay.
talk about documentaries too.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah. Absolutely. Well,
Maybe we can add a segment in the Frybox of like what
Oh,
media have
yeah.
you been consuming that you like recently?
Yeah.
And so we can share
Yeah.
our other things
be
that
cool.
we've really been into because people might want like those suggestions as well. So documentaries, TV shows. Now that we can talk about any title whatsoever, we could do that.
Yeah. Although, Christina, I do recommend that documentary on Netflix called Made You Look. It's about art, since you're an
Oh, yeah.
artsy-fartsy. It's very
I'm
interesting.
not an artsy fartsy. What are you talking about? There's no
As
art
you
in
have
my
a
life.
whole wall of paintings behind you that you did.
Well, Ryder did this one.
Oh, okay.
I finally set up my like badass lady shrine over here.
Your
I love it.
shrine.
It's a shrine. I still have like one more, but it's bigger and I don't know. I kind of need to figure out how to hang it on that wall, but that's a cement wall. So
Who's that with?
We'll figure it out.
which one?
The big one.
Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, nice.
Because it has a drawing I did of her and I had her sign it. So
This is like
Oh, yes.
It's
I need to print that out.
I love it.
you guys are right here with me.
Perfect.
Right there.
Well,
Whose turn?
I don't even know anymore.
1, 2, 3.
Amanda did it last time, so not it.
Not it.
I said 1, 2, 3, not at first, so it's definitely not me.
Shit. I have to do it.
Wait, I'll do it. I think
What?
I think I got one. I'll do it.
Okay, wait. But
What's our next episode?
what's our next episode
Cool.
we're doing?
That's a
I don't
good
even know.
question.
Maternal instinct.
Oh yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
need
even
to
know
do
what
that
one's
one.
about.
I need to do that one. So
Okay. I'll do this one.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get myself
Should we say
queued
bye
up.
to everybody? Because for those who don't
Yeah.
know, when we do this, we're done and we're gonna.
We're
peace
going to
out.
leave you after this, but
Leave
Hitting the
bye-byes.
credits.
thank you for coming and watching and tell all your friends and we'll be
Yeah.
back.
I mean, my
Hopefully-
Live on TikTok is still going. So
Is it really?
yeah, just come over here.
All right, wait, hold on. Let's see. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? I gotta get the outro queued up. That Stargate wormhole thing is an optricon fallacy, so clearly there is no iris to close.